Deciding whether to leave your job and move on to the next thing or not, either within a company or outside of one, is often a really difficult decision. I've done it myself. I quit my job earlier in the year and it was really difficult. So in this video, we're just going to go through 4 simple questions from this book, Squiggly Careers by Helen Tupper and Sarah Ellis. And hopefully these 4 questions are going to help you decide whether you want to quit your job or not. The first question is, are you happy and learning? So this is a really simple question. And if you ask yourself this question and the answer is yes to both of these things, then you might actually consider staying in your job. And if the answer is no, and one of these things is missing, then it might be time to reconsider your job. These 2 things are really the fundamentals of work. Just feeling, you don't have to feel happy all the time, but it's just feeling like you enjoy the day-to-day on average and that you're learning something new, because humans love to learn new things and it makes us feel like we have a sense of purpose. For some people, the answer to both of these things may just continue to be yes. And in that case, these people just stay in their jobs for quite a while. And in the other case, when it's consistently, one of these things is consistently missing, then it might be time for a move. Question 2 is, what's the job after the next job? So it can be really useful when we're thinking about our next job to consider what that might lead to. When I quit my job earlier in the year, I had various roles lined up in education, and it's a little different because I wasn't going into a full-time role, but all of these things, tutoring, working for a part-time for an education company and making these YouTube videos, these things were setting me up for furthering my career in education. My thinking was that all of these things are leading me towards things that I want to do further down the line. And I don't know exactly what I want to do further down the line, but I just knew that these things were going to lead me more towards the direction that I wanted to go than the previous job that I had. So thinking about the job after the next job can be really helpful, but it can be really difficult to know what the next job might be, especially if you're really uncertain about your future career. So if that is the case for you, then the short answer to this problem is that you need to try more things. You haven't tasted enough things out there in the world. And if you feel like you have, then you haven't evaluated those experiences properly. But if you want more help with this problem, I have a playlist called How to Figure Out What to Do with Your Life, and you can watch the videos in there and hopefully you'll get some useful ideas. Question number 3 is, will you use your strengths and live your values? So in the book, Squiggly Careers, they talk about finding your super strengths, and also finding your values. They talk about how it's really easy when thinking about the next job to get distracted by shiny objects. And by shiny objects, they mean things like high salaries, nice offices, and fancy job titles. And so when you think about your next job, are you actually going to be doing things that you're really good at and that are in accordance with your values? Some examples of values that you could have are freedom, achievement, and variety. And so it can be really useful if you know what things are important to you, and then you can make decisions based around those things. So if they are freedom, achievement, and variety, then you can think, is this next job going to give me freedom? Is it going to give me the freedom to do the things that I want to do? Is it going to give me the opportunity to achieve things? Is it going to give me the opportunity to do lots of different things and have a variety in my day-to-day or my week-to-week, whatever it is that you want? And on strengths, there's a fair amount of evidence that supports the fact that you feel most fulfilled at the end of a day of work when you feel like you've used your strengths throughout the day. This just means that you're getting the chance to do things that you think you're good at and you feel like you're making good use of yourself as well. And it doesn't mean you're not being challenged, it just means you're doing things that align with what you're good at. So the final question is, do you love your job but not your manager? So research suggests that 70% of someone's engagement in a job is determined by the person that they work for. So having a terrible manager is super, super annoying, and it can really affect someone's time in their job and can be a reason why people want to leave. It's especially annoying if you like the work, but you don't like the manager. So Helen and Sarah suggest doing 2 things. The first thing that they suggest is just considering whether you feel like you've given the relationship enough time, as things can evolve. And the second thing is trying to give feedback to your manager. And obviously this can be super stressful, but if you are able to do it, then you will learn something. You'll learn either that they're open to feedback or that they're closed to feedback. And if they're open to feedback, then maybe you can move forwards, and that's great. And if they're not, then you are learning that they're an arsehole and that you probably don't want to work for them in the future. Only joking, they might not be an arsehole, but if someone's not open to feedback, then it can be really difficult to make progress. So you just want to consider whether the job is going to work out for you, and if they're not going to go anywhere, then it might be time to consider moving. Making a career change or just getting a new job can require a lot of courage, and there will be uncertainty ahead of you. That's just part of it. That's just the human experience. So try to feel the courage within you, and when you feel like you've evaluated everything that you can about the situation and taken in all the information that you can, try to just come to a decision that you feel comfortable with and then have the courage to take it. If it turns out to be the wrong decision, then you'll learn from it and you'll make better decisions in the future. We all make the wrong decisions sometimes, and in reality, all you can do is evaluate all the information that you have to hand and do as much thinking as you can, and then you have to at some point come to a decision. That's all you've got. So don't stress too much about all of the possible uncertainties in the future, and just have the courage to make the decision. One final piece of advice is actually, instead of worrying about how bad everything might go and all the uncertainty in the future, imagine it actually all working out. Imagine that this role that you take next actually goes really well. Or imagine in 3 years' time, you're doing all the things that you want to be doing. This can be really, really powerful, and you can try to think about, okay, if it did work out, what skills would I need? What steps would I need to take to get there? And how can I get closer to that? It's really powerful when you think, actually, this can work out, it could work out. It doesn't have to go wrong. Just try to take step after step in the right direction. So as I said, I actually found quitting my job earlier in the year really stressful. And so I thought about all these questions that I could ask myself and all these different frameworks I could use. And I made a video about my favorite 10 of these. So if you want to watch that video about why I quit my job, then click here. Otherwise, please drop a comment about anything that you found useful or enjoyed about this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.